The world is full of urban legends, remarkable stories that spread like viruses around the planet, mutating and evolving until no one can remember which are true and which are urban legends. In this episode called Lost and Found, you'll see 3 incredible stories about the weird experiences people have when precious things come in or out of their lives. First up, Mimi Anderson's brand new prom dress is an absolute knockout.
Mimi! Mimi!
Then Linda and Tom Cummins discover the meaning of giving till it hurts at a local charity food drive. And finally, Claire Sylvia gets a life-saving transplant that gives her a new heart and lungs, plus a little bit more. Watch all 3 stories and decide which ones are true and which ones are false. Find out if you guessed right at the end of the show. Our first story goes by the name of Killer Outfit. The tranquil town of New Haven, Connecticut, may be famous as the home of Yale University, the lollipop and the frisbee, but now it has a new claim to fame. Meet author Leon Christian.
As part of my job, I travel around a lot. I talk to funeral directors all over the country.
Leon dug up one story in New Haven that will chill you to the bone. On May 26, 2007, Mimi Anderson gets a last-minute invite to her new boyfriend's prom, but she doesn't have a thing to wear.
This whole prom thing was really had been a huge issue, temper tantrum after temper tantrum, because she didn't have the right dress to wear.
What are you doing?
I need something to wear to the prom. I understand.
That was like the end of the world to her.
I want the dress from the store, please.
I cannot get you the dress.
And it's like, there's not going to be a dress. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't want to buy one. It's that we just can't afford it.
I really can't.
Mom, I need something to wear to the prom.
Finally, Mimi's mother
Calm
snaps,
down. You have to get yourself together because you have to get to the funeral home.
adding to her stress. Before Mimi can go to the prom, she must first attend the viewing of a recently deceased neighbor.
I have to go to work, so I want the dress from the store.
When Mimi gets to the funeral home, she can't find the right room and comes across a casket containing the body of Marla Hamburger.
The young woman was Jewish, so they hadn't embalmed her or anything. She had just been laid out. There was going to be a viewing later that day, and she would be buried the next morning. I guess Mimi was quite fascinated with this young woman in the casket. I don't know if it was because they were similar in age.
Before Mimi can leave, she bumps into the funeral director.
He explained to Mimi that she worked in a lab downtown and had been found collapsed on the floor of her lab that morning and brought directly to the funeral home.
That morning, scientist Marla is in her lab checking a vital experiment. But her mind is elsewhere since she's running late for her brother's bar mitzvah. She never makes it to the ceremony.
Marla had been dressed up, was wearing this really lovely dress. Well, I guess Mimi had taken a shine to it and figured this was going to be her prom dress.
Mimi quickly undresses the corpse. And skipping the neighbor's viewing, she returns home to prepare for the prom.
She's putting the finishing touches on, but she started to feel a little strange at this point. And maybe even a little dizzy at times.
Mimi is becoming faint and uncoordinated. She can hardly apply her makeup.
She wants to feel radiant, and she doesn't understand why everything is becoming that much harder.
She heads downstairs to meet her date, Todd, but all is not well.
Hi.
Hey.
She's trying to smile and be happy, but she can barely keep herself up at this point.
You okay?
Yeah.
You sure you're okay?
Yeah.
So he goes to put the corsage on Mimi's hand, and she can barely even lift her arm up to receive it.
Are you sure you're okay?
No, yeah.
Mimi,
I can't move.
why don't you sit down? Mimi, talk to me. What's going on? Help! Wake up! Talk to me, Mimi. What's going on?
Meanwhile, back at the funeral home, the funeral director makes a disturbing discovery.
He walks back into Marla's viewing room, And it's a mess. The flowers have been knocked over on the floor, the casket lids are open. It's not what he had left.
What happened?
We're dead.
In her haste, Marla has had a nasty accident.
Okay, see ya.
She knocks over a beaker. It contains something called a potassium methachlorate.
The chemical seeps through Marla's dress and induces a state that exactly mimics death. Despite fooling all but the most diligent of doctors, it's a state that can be reversed.
Once Mimi had removed the dress, the drugs slowly started to wear off. So a couple of hours later, Marla wakes up and says,
Where's my dress?
What's going on?
The dress has now plunged Mimi's body into the deathly condition.
Just say something. What's going on?
So is this story of frock horror true, or is it just a lie dressed up? Find out at the end of the show. But before then, check out this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 47, stain remover. In 2005, a senior associate at a large London law firm sends an email to Secretary Jenny Amner. He wants Jenny to pay his £4 dry cleaning bill after she spilled ketchup on his suit trousers. A week later, Jenny replies to her penny-pinching boss. It says, she's sorry she hasn't paid his measly £4, but she's been a little busy with her mother's funeral. She copies her reply to 250 colleagues. The email exchange spreads around the globe and even makes the news. So is this e-tail the real deal, or is it just another internet scam? Is it true or false? It's true. The affair was dubbed Ketchupgate, and both Jenny and her boss went on paid leave from the firm. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 incredible stories. Your task is to pick out the terrible truths from the horrible hoaxes. So far, you've seen the tale of Mimi Anderson, the girl who stole a poisonous prom dress from a body in a casket, only to succumb to the coma-inducing chemical herself. But is it a true story? Find out at the end of the show. Now it's time for our second story. It's called Uncanny Situation. The good people here in Austin, Texas know that charity begins at home, and none more so than this woman. Meet Linda Cummins.
I have lived in Austin for almost 30 years. Grew up in West Texas. Then I went to school in Dallas where I met Tom, and he's from Austin, so here I am in Austin.
But Linda's husband made one charitable donation that would cost her dearly. On November 3rd, 1995, Linda is getting dressed up for the annual tennis club gala dinner.
I was wanting to wear some of my jewelry.
Linda hides her valuables in a miniature safe, cleverly disguised as a tin of canned soup.
So I went into the pantry, looked for the soup can, only the soup can wasn't there.
Tom, where's the can with the jewels in it?
So I asked Tom about it, and he said, oh, well, you've just overlooked it. So he went and looked. I said, I don't know what could have happened to it. It was here. Then it dawned on him what he had done.
Tom casts his mind back to what happened 4 days earlier.
No, I thought you brought it for yesterday.
Well, I was out of town, and Tom was at home taking care of the girls. And that particular day, he was taking them to their basketball game. And Debbie Harmon came up.
Hey, how are you?
Debbie is a neighbor of the Cummins and organizes the local food drive.
One Sunday in November, we put out thousands of bags throughout the city and with a note on it asking them to fill it with canned goods. I put out a bag at the Cummins house. I noticed the bag was not on their doorstep, and I said, Tom, where's your bag? And he said, oh gosh, I forgot to do that.
Okay.
So he ran inside and grabbed some canned goods.
But Tom just grabs the first cans that come to hand.
Put them in the bag and gave it back to her.
What Tom doesn't know is just how generous he's just been.
Hey, no problem, anytime.
Tom was mortified when it dawned on him what had happened.
I was rushed.
Dad, where's my bag? Where's my bag? Have you seen my keys? You tell her to hurry up.
Rushed. I was trying to get the kids to school.
So?
Just get in the car, okay?
So now what are we gonna do?
First thing we did was to call Debbie Harmon and said,
Yeah, that can all...
guess what happened? Guess what we did?
Yeah.
The Cummins and Debbie head down to the Food Drive Collection Center to look for their special can.
And we went through shelf after shelf after shelf, looking at each can, trying to find it.
It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. It was virtually impossible. There were just thousands and thousands of bags.
After hours of searching, they realize they need to change their game plan.
Mrs. Cummings, can you tell us what happened
They
yesterday?
speak to the press and ask for the safe return of their precious can.
And from there, it just took off.
Fortunately, in one of those cans was my grandmother's jewelry, and it's very, very important.
There were several pieces of jewelry in there that were distinct. One of them was a ruby bracelet that was rubies all the way around it. The gold nugget ring that my parents had given me, my grandmother's engagement diamond. There was a cameo ring. The girls' crosses from when they were baptized. Many other things. Tom's Rolex watch was in there. A lot of sentimental things because Tom had given me a lot of it. My parents had given me a lot of the jewelry. It was in every paper and on nationwide TV stations and radio stations. Tom offered a reward.
Well, thank you, folks. We hope you find these.
The reward is posted at $2,500. But a week passes with no news. Then they get a phone call.
Hello? Really?
And I think we might have what you're looking for.
They said they found
Tom and Linda return to the donation center to be reunited with their jewelry.
This is the can.
Excellent.
The soup can they found matches the one the Cummins lost, but the can must belong to someone else because the jewelry inside is not theirs.
But it did make Tom feel better because he felt like there was at least one other person in this world and in this country that would do the same dumb thing that he did. It was a terrible mistake, an honest mistake, and so obviously a very forgivable one. We're still married.
So is this story real, or is there a lie in our soup? Find out at the end of the show. But first, check out this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 996, taking out the trash. Nicholas Rather is perturbed when the garbage men refuse to take his long fluorescent light bulb, telling him it should go into hazardous waste. Nicholas decides to find a disposal center near his work and takes the bulb with him on the subway the next morning. It's difficult getting it on, as it nearly touches the ceiling. As the subway car fills up, people start grabbing the light bulb as if it's a pole. When it's his stop, Nicholas sees an easy way out. He simply lets go and gets off, leaving the other commuters unknowingly holding the bulb. So, can you hold a candle to this story, or is it just a piece of trash? Is it true or false? It's false. Other fluorescent bulb myths warn of the supposedly lethal levels of mercury they release when broken. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 incredible stories. Your task is to pick out the terrible truths from the horrible hoaxes. So far, you've seen the tale of Mimi Anderson, the girl who stole a knockout prom dress from a corpse, but ended up in a coma herself.
Fortunately, in one of those...
And the story of Linda and Tom Cummins, the couple who accidentally gave away their family jewels to a charity can drive. But does either of these stories ring true? We'll let you know at the end of the show. Our third and final story is called Unnatural Cravings. As one of the oldest cities in the U.S., Boston, Massachusetts has a deeply ingrained sense of history and culture everywhere you look. Meet Claire Sylvia.
I've been dancing all my life. When I was around 10, I made a decision then that dance would be a part of my life, always.
But when Claire's diagnosed with a cardiovascular disease, she had to have a life-changing operation. On April 15, 1988, Claire arrives at a Baltimore hospital to get some test results. She's been complaining of chest pains.
I could barely get up on the examining table.
I've looked through your case.
The doctor tells her she has a rare heart condition.
I'm sad to say that it's,
Without a heart and lung transplant, she'll be lucky to live another 2 years.
available to you here.
And the doctor said to me, you definitely need this heart and lungs transplant, but it may be a long wait.
Luckily, Claire doesn't have to wait long for a suitable donor. Claire has an emergency transplant to replace her disease-ravaged heart and lungs. When she wakes up, she is a new woman.
I was in the ICU for about a week. I felt things were different, but I didn't know how different they really were. I was just thankful to be alive.
Claire.
As she's recuperating, Claire's doctor drops in to see how she's doing and whether he can get her anything.
And what came out of me was, I'd die for a beer right now. And I looked puzzled because I don't know where that came from.
Although Claire's body makes a full recovery, her personality and tastes have changed completely.
I came home to the same house, the same daughter, and nothing was the same.
Now she has a passion for green peppers, a food she couldn't stomach before the operation.
We never ate green peppers. You never drank beer.
But her unusual cravings don't stop there.
I found myself going to a fried chicken place and getting chicken nuggets, something I never did before.
Mom, you don't eat meat.
These new tastes make Claire believe that the transplant not only gave her the donor's heart and lungs, but his personality too.
I was having tremendous dreams, nightmares, and there was one dream that was very vivid in my mind. I was with a young man. We kissed. And in that moment, I knew we would be together forever. When I awakened from the dream, I felt so exhilarated, and I knew for sure that this must be my donor.
Claire tries to find her donor's identity, but the hospital won't release his name.
All I had known about him was that the young man was killed in a motorcycle crash, and I knew that he lived in Maine.
Listen, okay, just give me...
Claire's daughter Amara has found an obituary for a Maine biker called Tim, who was killed the week of her transplant.
And I went on the computer and I was looking at all the classified ads in the last couple of weeks in the newspaper.
They tracked down his parents.
I wrote them a letter and thanked them so much.
Claire arranges to visit them in Maine. When they arrive, they offer their condolences to Tim's parents. Then, Claire asks about Tim's personality and tastes.
We'd like to know about your son.
They said to me his favorite food was chicken nuggets.
Beer and chicken nuggets.
And when they said that to me, I said, oh my God.
Tim's parents confirm his love of green peppers and cold beer.
And they were corroborating all the things that I had felt.
I would love to see a picture of him.
When she showed me a picture of him, this was the young man. These were the eyes that I saw in my dream. And then they took me to where he was buried, and written across the tombstone was, "Together forever." Those were the words that came to me in that dream that I had.
So is this taste transplant tale true, or is it just medical make-believe? You don't have to wait too much longer to find out. All will be revealed after this final mini-myth. Mini-myth number 323, bird love. While living in Houston, Texas, 34-year-old John Ellsworth comes up with a unique way of proposing to his girlfriend. He sends his message of proposal via carrier pigeon. But instead of flying to his sweetheart's house, the bird swoops into the home of 22-year-old Rita Williams. Intrigued by the message, Rita contacts John and tells him to give her a call. When he does, John falls head over tail feathers in love, and they get married soon after. Is this flight of fancy true? Or is it just a bird-brained myth? It's true. John and Rita really did fall in love this way in 1999. Now it's time to reveal the truth about our 3 stories. First up, it's the tale of Linda and Tom Cummins, the couple who accidentally donated a soup can safe full of valuables to charity and found one containing only costume jewelry. But is it true or false?
My name is Linda Cummins, and yes, this is a true story.
Unfortunately, the Cummins never got their jewels back, despite the soup company doubling Tom's initial reward to $5,000. So what about the story of Mimi Anderson, the girl who stole a poisonous dress from a corpse, only to be plunged into a coma herself by the toxic chemical? Was this just a lie dressed up?
Mimi, Marla, and Sam are all figments of our imagination. This is a false story.
Modern versions of this myth were popular in the 1940s, but tales of deadly clothing can be traced back all the way to 17th century India. Which leaves a story of Claire Sylvia, the woman who received the heart and lungs of a dead biker, as well as his taste for beer, peppers, and chicken nuggets. But is it true or false?
My name is Claire Sylvia, and this is a true story.
Some believe Claire's experience proves a theory called cellular memory, which suggests that memories, tastes, and habits are stored in the body's cells, not just the brain. That's the end of our episode called Lost and Found. Did you discover the tantalizing truth, or did you unearth nothing but fraudulent fakery? Whatever you found, you'll get another chance to separate fact from fiction in the next installment of Urban Legend.